Am I the idiot for wanting to leave my boyfriend for something his parents said? So, I 26, female black, and my boyfriend 32, male white, have been dating for about 5 months now, and he is honestly the best thing that ever happened to me. He is the first guy who's ever made me consider marriage and starting a family. I did love him. Now to the story. Last weekend was his mom's 60th birthday and my boyfriend was gonna go to the birthday party. He thought it would be a nice occasion for him to introduce me to his family, so he asked me to join him. We let his family know that he was bringing me and they were okay with it. His parents' place is 3 hours away from the city we live in, so we decided that we were gonna spend the night. So, we arrived at his parents' place and his mom, dad, brother and sister were there. They hugged me while greeting me and I honestly thought they were genuinely happy to meet me. It didn't feel like anything was off. They all seemed like nice people. So we spent the evening talking, and there was a lot of laughter and everything was going great. At around 8 p.m., my boyfriend and his brother leave for the airport to pick up a relative of theirs who was flying in for the party. So, I'm left at the house with his mom, dad, and sister. I didn't feel unsafe or anything. They had been nice to me the whole time. I had left my phone charging in the room we were gonna sleep in, so I excused myself to go check if I had any important messages or calls. There weren't any, so it didn't take long. I start heading back to the living room and as I'm walking back, I hear them talking. Then his mom asks, "So, what do you think about her?" I immediately knew they were talking about me and I honestly wanted to know what my potential in-laws thought about me, so I stopped and listened. His dad says, "She's nice." His sister agrees with him and adds, "She's pretty too." Then his mom says something that immediately made me sick to my stomach. She says, "Yeah, if only she wasn't a foo **** king and word." And they all agreed with her. My heart dropped. I tiptoed back to the room and I sat there so confused. I was shaking so much I didn't know what to do. I wanted to call my boyfriend, but I had a weird feeling, so I didn't. I felt so alone and unsafe. I felt like I couldn't trust anyone around me, not even my boyfriend. I live in Canada and people here are not as open with their racism as in other places. Which in my opinion, is much more scary. Now at that moment, the only people I could think of asking for help were my sisters. One of my sisters lives in the US and the other one is in Canada, but in a different province. They both live far away, so there is nothing they could have done to help me at that moment, but I felt like they are the only people I could trust. We have a WhatsApp group chat, so I sent them a message telling them what happened. I have lived in Canada for a couple of years, but it's not easy to make trustworthy friends here. Canada is a lonely place. I have met a lot of people, but I don't feel like any of them are my friends. If you are an immigrant in Canada, you probably understand what I mean. Anyway, back to the story. So my sisters were like, "You need to find a way to get out of there immediately." They tell me to make up an excuse saying I had an emergency and needed to leave. I stayed in the room for some time scared to death. It took everything in me not to start crying. After I had collected my thoughts and calmed down, I did what my sisters told me to do. I hadn't unpacked my bag yet and luckily, we brought my car cause it's fuel efficient compared to my boyfriend's. I took my bag and car keys and passed the living room in a rush saying something came up and I had to leave. I didn't give them a chance to ask any questions. I just got in my car and drove away. It was getting late and I wasn't in the right state of mind to drive back home. I just wanted to get as far away as possible before stopping at a hotel for the night. My boyfriend had called me a couple of times. I called him back, but I couldn't bring myself to tell him what had happened, so I gave him the same excuse I gave his parents. He asked if he should come home as well, and I told him it wasn't necessary. I went home the next day and my boyfriend showed up at my apartment a few hours later. I looked at him and it felt like all the love I had for him had just disappeared. Though I acted like everything was fine, I wondered if he was racist too. He had been so great during our whole relationship. I never once felt like he had any racist thoughts or feelings. But I can't help but think about how his family made me believe they were nice people, and I keep wondering if he's also just pretending to like me. We don't live together, but my lease is ending in July. He owns his place, so I was supposed to move in with him after my lease ended, but I have managed to get out of moving in with him. I don't feel like I love him anymore. It's been 3 days now since we got back from his parents' place and I want to end things with him without it causing any trouble, but I'm really scared. I want to tell him what happened, but I'm scared of finding out that he's racist as well. I don't know how he's going to react. Maybe I'm overthinking this, but there are so many stories of women getting murdered by their partners, and I'm scared that I could end up killed too. I guess I'm imagining the worst case scenario and I'm judging him based on his parents' actions and not his. But I am genuinely scared. Even if he isn't racist, his family is. And if we stay together, no matter how much I try to avoid his family, there are still gonna be situations where I'll have to interact with them and I don't think I can ever move past what they said. Please help. Now, here are the comments. I'd talk to him first. I'm from the deep south and met my wife after I left home. The first time I brought her home, it totally didn't even occur to me that my family would be unappreciative of me bringing home someone who wasn't white. People aren't their families, but who they choose to make their own family. Comment 2. Listen up, as one black person to another, you need to tell him the truth of what happened. You need to make his family uncomfortable, not vice versa. You don't need to ask him to cut his family out, but you need to tell him the truth. Let him make up his own mind. You are not the problem, his family is. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for telling my husband that he has no say over our children? My husband, male 50, and I, female 44, have 3 kids: Emma, female 20, Zach, male 16, and Haley, female 19. Haley and Emma moved out this year. Emma went to college while Haley moved in with her fiancé. From the moment my husband, male 50, found out that she was doing so, he did not approve, saying that he didn't think it was safe, and didn't approve of her not going to college. Something that should also be known is that I had Haley from a past fling. Me and my husband, male 50, were in an open relationship. And I ended up getting pregnant and decided to keep her. Haley has never planned on going to college. She is a very free-spirited girl and wants to live her life and learn as she goes. I have never had a problem with this because that's how I was at her age, but my husband, male 50, doesn't think it's appropriate for her to be this way. Things came to a head when my daughter Haley, female 19, came to get the rest of the things from our house 2 days ago when I had happened to be at work. My husband, male 50, works from home and was there when she came to get her things. What was told to me as to what happened is Haley walked in the house and went to her room. Then my husband, 50, locked her in it. Haley started banging on the door telling him to let her out, but my husband kept saying no and that she needed to stay in there and rethink her ways and repent for her sins. Our family is in no way religious, so I don't know where this came from. I came home 3 hours later to find my husband sitting in front of her door with a chair and Haley screaming in her room. I immediately asked what he was doing and he looked at me with the calmest face and told me that he was making Haley rethink her decision. I immediately pushed him out of the way and opened the door. My little girl ran to me crying, saying that he had locked her in there for 4 hours and was telling her to repent for her sins. I immediately went off on my husband and told him he has no say on what any of our children do with their lives. They are adults and well capable of making their own decisions. Where I think I might be the idiot is because I also said that Haley is not his kid, so he has no power over her. What's so over? He then started crying and said that maybe if I wasn't such a hoe asterisk, then Haley wouldn't be here and we wouldn't be in this situation. He then left and hasn't been answering his phone or text messages. I don't know what to do here. Our marriage has been perfect up till this point, but I can't get over what he said and did to my daughter. Now, here are the comments. Anytime someone says that their marriage was perfect otherwise, I hear Ron Howard say, it wasn't perfect. Comment 2. I cannot even begin to imagine what is going on in your husband's head to behave like that, especially if he isn't even one of those religious extremists. Something wrong there, especially if that's a big change from his normal/previous behavior. Can you insist he gets some therapy/counseling and maybe some wider health checks? Wishing you and all of your kids happiness along whatever life path they choose to follow. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for not including my fiancé in a financial decision? My fiancé, M, 30, and I, F, 35, have been living together for about 2 years, and we're planning to get married. About a year ago, he started recreationally using illegal drugs and lied to me about it. When I found proof, I told him that if it became a regular habit, it would be a deal breaker for me. 4 months after that, he swore that he wasn't using it all, but I had my suspicions, and then caught him red-handed again. He accused me of spying on him and putting him under a microscope, and said that he feels like it should be a matter of personal autonomy and privacy as long as the drug use is not creating a problem. Obviously, he doesn't think it is a problem. After all, it is not interfering with his job, and he doesn't go out and party or get in trouble. He uses it to enhance his gaming performance and experience. I work night shift, and when I am gone, he stays up all night playing video games. When I am home, he crashes early and rarely has the energy or desire to go out or do anything together. This has caused a lot of tension in our relationship. He insists that it shouldn't matter what he does while I am gone, and has told me repeatedly that I should get a hobby and do things by myself. So I did. I started horseback riding, and recently spent about $5,000 on a horse and accessories. This is something that I have enjoyed in the past, so it definitely is not a passing whim that I will soon grow tired of. But my ex-fiancé is infuriated that I spent that money without asking him, and insists that it is far more disrespectful of our relationship than what he did. I earn roughly twice as much as he does. We have a joint account that he voluntarily puts all of his money into, and I put half of mine, roughly an equal amount, mostly because I have kids with expenses that should not be his responsibility. We pay our bills out of that joint account, and there is always enough left over that we have a little cushion. I have some credit card debt, but I also have a retirement account, investment properties, and a substantial credit limit. The money that I spent was taken from my personal accounts and not our joint one, but he still feels like I should have asked him before spending that much because since we are a couple, it is our money. In my opinion, he broke my trust and has not been considering us in his decisions since he chose to start using. We are now separated over this. He is angry that I made a unilateral decision to spend thousands of dollars without his approval. I am angry that he thinks he has the right to control what I spend while refusing to consider my feelings or opinions related to using drugs and spending most of his spare time gaming while I am gone, which leaves him exhausted when I am there. Am I the idiot for not including him in my decision? Edit. To clarify some of the questions frequently presented. 1. I am concerned about meth. Not weed. He uses that occasionally too, and I don't care. 2. My kids are teens and are with their father while I am at work, not with him. 3. I have also paid for most of our food and some of our other expenses out of my individual accounts, and have tried to keep the amount that he contributes roughly in proportion to our incomes. I make more, so I pay for more. What is left in our joint account after the shared bills are paid is his as far as I am concerned. 4. The horse was not a secret. I told him openly that I was buying one, and offered to let him be a part of that process. He is just mad that his opinion was not the final word. 5. This was not about getting even or being spiteful. It was for the sake of my own mental health to occupy my time and stop worrying so much about him. 6. In general, I do believe that large purchases should be discussed jointly, and that it doesn't matter who makes more. However, he can't just do whatever he wants and expect me to give him the same level of respect and consideration that I would if he hadn't broken my trust. 7. His argument is that he has only spent $270 on drugs. I highly doubt that, but if it is true, I still think the meth use was a bigger deal than my horse purchase. 8. He spends at least $5,000 per year on alcohol, cigarettes, gaming, and other legal vices without even including the illegal substances. Now, here are the comments. Thank God he's now an ex. You don't need a meth user around your kids. Comment 2. Not the idiot, but your ex is. He has no right to tell you how to spend your own money. Who pays for his drugs if he is putting all of his money in the joint account? You aren't doing anything illegal, but he is. He actually sounds like a deadbeat. Move on, find happiness. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.